firms, Perkins Coie brought suit against the Trump administration yesterday because of an executive order the president signed targeting them. It suspended security clearances for Perkins Coie attorneys as well as their access to federal buildings, all because they represent clients the president doesn't like. It also cited their diversity efforts inside the firm. The firm called it a, quote, direct and imminent threat to their ability to represent clients, to their ability to stay in business. Late today, a judge agreed, and then some. Quoting from the bench ruling, Judge Beryl Howell called Trump's order a, quote, punishment for a singled-out entity being disloyal. She went on to say when, quote, the Queen of Hearts yells off with their heads for her subjects, that it cannot be the reality we are living under. For what comes next, I want to bring in Jeffrey Toobin, former federal prosecutor and the author of The Pardon, The Politics of Presidential Mercy. What is your reaction to the judge's ruling?
You know, Anderson, I've heard a lot of court rulings, but I have never heard a judge declare something unconstitutional in so many different ways. She said this was a violation of the First Amendment free speech rights. She said it was a violation of the right to counsel. She said it was a right to it was a violation of due process. She said it was a bill of attainder, which means it was specifically targeted against one entity, this law firm. I mean, it was just a complete destruction of this executive order for now. But, you know, Judge Beryl Howell, very respected judge, she's an Obama appointee. In this case, is going to move through the appellate process. It may have a different fate.
Is it possible this will end up in the Supreme Court?
I think it really may, because there was such a clear conflict between the Trump Justice Department lawyer who was arguing, who was basically saying, you know, we don't have to give a reason why we exclude this. We are excluding.
Right. He was saying that the president has the right to go after any company or any individual that he feels is a threat.
And you don't have, and the president doesn't have to give a reason. It can be a good reason. It can be a bad reason. And Judge Howell made a very interesting argument. She said, you mean you could go after Williams and Connolly, which was the law firm representing Perkins Coie. You could go after them for representing Perkins Coie. And the Justice Department lawyer sort of danced around, but basically said, yes, this is entirely in the discretion of the president. And this conflict about the scope of presidential power is what all of these conflicts are really about. The Elon Musk cases, where, you know, can the president's designee, Elon Musk, go in and fire all these people? All of these are about the scope of presidential power, and that's what the Supreme Court is going to have to resolve.
Yeah, I mean, it was their judge, as I mentioned, that the lawyer's argument, the government's lawyer's argument from the Department of Justice, she said it sent a chill down her spine. Essentially, these law firms are saying that this is going to destroy their business because part of the idea of this clearly is to intimidate companies from hiring these firms. Not related even to, you know, anything the company might have with the Trump administration.
And it came out in court that Perkins Coie has already lost clients. I mean, this executive order is less than a week old, but they have lost clients. And you can understand the client's position. It's like, how are you going to represent me if you can't even go in to visit the Securities and Exchange
Commission? And if a major company is going to hire this firm, and then the president is going to attack that company just because they're hiring this firm.
Right, and that's why Judge Howell, who was really very outspoken and thoughtful about this, said, you know, this is a threat to all of the legal profession in America. Notably, though, and this is consistent with what's going on in the whole country, very few law firms and very few sort of prominent lawyers have spoken out against this publicly, and Williams and Connolly deserves a lot of credit because they weren't afraid to take.
Well, also,
on.
I got pushback from Republicans, you know, who saw the stuff we've been doing that's on. They said, well, look, this is payback, this is fair play. Look, they went after Trump. This is a law firm that is representing people. It's as if, you know, a Democratic administration would take away the law licenses or go after the firm that represented President Trump in all the legal cases he's been facing.
Correct. And that's not what you can argue.
The Trump lawyers had security clearances. They weren't taken, their security clearances weren't taken away.
They weren't taken away. And this idea that you can go after lawyers is very new, and at least according to this judge, very scary.
A district judge called the president's executive order an exertion of extraordinary power, warning it could damage the integrity of the entire legal profession by intimidating lawyers from taking up cases that may be against the president's interests. The judge said the order, quote, sends little chills down my spine, adding that the retaliatory animus of Trump's order is clear on its face and that many in the legal profession are watching in horror. She compared the president to the Queen of Hearts in Alice in Wonderland, noting that the rash queen's outbursts, off with their heads, are entertaining to read about, but cannot be the reality we are living under the Constitution. The judge is expected to hold another hearing before issuing a final ruling on the matter. David French, he wrote a recent column on a related topic, how the Trump administration is trying to insert itself into decision-making at a private Christian school. Where is this going, do you think?
Where this is going is obvious to everyone. It is Trump's friends get benefits from the Trump administration, and Trump's enemies are punished to the full extent that Trump can punish them. And the Perkins-Coie order, I've never seen anything like it. I practiced First Amendment law for more than 20 years. I litigated countless cases, and always when you're litigating a retaliation case, the defendant was saying, the government was saying, no, we're not retaliating. You misunderstand. And we are having to prove retaliation. Here, they just confessed to it in the very order that it initiated sanctions against Perkins-Coie. They said right there, we're doing this because of their political activities. Because of their First Amendment protected expression, they're taking action against a law firm. It was just plain on the face of the document. So nothing about this order surprises me. And it's going to be the first of many if they keep doing this. What happened at Georgetown Law School? They were saying, we don't want you. A federal prosecutor was saying, you can't teach DEI, whatever that means. Well, I've got news for him. A federal prosecutor does not have jurisdiction over the curriculum of a Catholic school. This is not how that works. And look, if the Biden administration was doing this to a conservative Catholic institution, this would be 24/7 in right-wing media, 24/7, an attack on Christians. Here you have the Trump administration taking on a Christian institution directly, up front, blatantly. And from much of the religious liberty community, it's crickets. It's incredibly sad, incredibly disappointing to see that silence in the face of a direct attack on the First Amendment.
Women on this committee are good people. They're honest and caring people. And that's why I do not understand why you would relegate this committee to no longer being of significance and resort to saying you will do whatever Elon Musk and Donald Trump tell you to do. Where's the independence of the committee? Where's the legislature? We're an equal branch of government. And you start off with a blather, and yet look at the empty seats here. Where's Elon Musk? I'm sure he's a genius and is a very credible person because of the wealth he's accumulated. But that does not put him above the law or the responsibility to come before this committee in this Congress. If he's so great, if these plans and all the fraud and abuse that he's found are so evident, why isn't he here explaining it? You know why. Because he's out to privatize Social Security. He's been on television the last couple of days talking exactly about Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and what he intends to do. Privatize it. The American people, some of them may have been born at night, but not last night. People are aware of this. Every single one of your districts. Now you have someone coming in to privatize a system, something you have longed to do going back to 1982, because Elon Musk thinks that this is the best thing to do. President Trump has called Social Security a scam. Elon Musk, as chairman, as Mr. Neal said, called it a Ponzi scheme. Ask that of the people in your district. Ask that, Mr. Smith, of the more than 198,000 people in your district who rely on Social Security, and you won't even let the person who's planning to privatize it, who's telling the big lie in front of everyone, in bold as he possibly can, saying, this is what we're going to do. The Congress is in our back pocket. We don't even have to come before them and testify because we control the House, we control the Senate, and we control the presidency. And it's the tyranny of the executive. It's why these resolutions were first adopted back in 1789, because the founding fathers knew that the executive branch does not have total authority over the legislature unless you have a willing party that says, no, we're going to do exactly what you tell us to do, Mr. Musk and Mr. President. It doesn't matter to our constituents. It doesn't matter how much money they are not going to receive. We're not even going to tell them the truth about what's going to happen to them. They administer to over 70 million people in the nation's #1 anti-poverty program for the elderly and children. Shame! Shame! Can't bring people in front of this body? If he's right, if they're so good, if they're so just, why aren't they here telling the American people about it? They're not, because you know the truth.
Guys, you can see here, judges are furious with Trump. Again, Trump is different. He is. It's different with Trump. And I'm not trying to romanticize. I'm not one of these guys who romanticizes past presidents, especially past Republicans. I do not like, I'm going to be honest, I do not like when I saw Slotkin praise Reagan. He's a monster. I think he's just as bad as Trump in many ways. Not always, but in many ways. Worse than Trump in some ways. Not as bad in others, but it works out to a similar level of evil. I really believe that. But here's the thing. Those men, those evil Republican presidents, didn't use the courts for personal vendettas. They used them for evil actions. George Bush Jr. did a lot of things that attacked the rights of Americans after 9/11. Civil liberties of a lot of Americans were attacked by his government, and they used the courts, sometimes successfully not, to do it. But not a personal vendetta. Judges are furious because even when we're talking about Trump-appointed judges in some cases, they don't like that Trump is using the court for personal vendetta, for personal revenge, for out-and-out political reprisal. It's not just that he's attacking the civil liberties of women's right to choose, which other Republican presidents have done. It's that he is personally saying, I have enemies, and I'm going to use the judges in the courts to get back at those enemies. And judges are sick of it. And you can see even Congress people are sick of the world Trump is creating. It is not that other Republicans were good. It's that Donald Trump, in some ways, is more odious.